we're both gonna be holding our test papers like, oh my goodness, we passed. We got the paper. That's the spirit. We passed, G. We're gonna pass. I will pass my driving test first time. Say it again. I will pass my... Okay, that's enough. But you know, you get the memo. You will pass your driving test. Let's begin. So let's begin with the video. I have written some lists of notes which I believe are the magic. You're joking. About 10 or 11 key tips that I have learned from doing my driving test this year 2020 and what I feel like would help a lot of people. And if I knew about this early on, it would have helped me a lot. So I'll try to say them in order in the sense that the tips that you should have known before starting your lessons, what you should be doing during your lessons and also during the test. I hope you all have your pen and paper and notebook because you're going to be writing some stuff down because we're going to be taking some notes. You better listen. I'm watching you.
So this video will be like tips on how to pass your driving test in 2020.
And the second video, which has already been uploaded on my YouTube channel, is how my driving test went because... I don't even know how I passed my driving test. It was very interesting. So make sure you guys watch that video because I kind of go through how my driving test went. Some of the questions that the examiner asked me as well. So that's really useful. Before I go through the tips, I'm going to give you all the facts about me so you know like how many hours I did and stuff. I started my driving lesson the first week of 2020. So the first week of January, I believe it was the 6th, that was on a Monday. I would do 2-hour lessons per session, one on Monday and one on Thursday. And I never really missed a lesson. That means I always had 4 hours per week, 2 on Mondays, 2 on Thursdays. Did my driving lessons for 2 months, the whole of January and the whole of February. I did my test the 3rd of March 2020. The company that I was with is called Red Driving School. My Red Driving School or something. Red Driving School. I passed first time. Congratulations. Thank God. It did take me 2 times to pass my theory. I failed my first one because basically, I didn't even know that the hazard directory something. I don't know, it's not hazard directory. You know, the theory part is like split into 2. There's one where you learn all of the facts and then you just regurgitate it in the test. And there's also another one where you have to watch videos. Like you have to spot the hazard. I didn't know that was in the test. It wasn't until the day of the test, I was on the bus, I was like, wait, this could be in the test. And then I was like, oh my goodness mercy. So I was literally watching all of the videos on my way to the test. And obviously I failed it because I didn't practice it or anything. So, but yeah, the second time I was even late to my exam and thank God like they allowed me to still do it. Anyways, let's get started. So tip number 1, pray. I'm not joking. Honestly, pray. I'm saying this because there's so many different things to pray about. Even if you're not a Christian or whatever, like... them roads, them streets out there is dangerous. It's dangerous. Number 1, pray about your instructor because boy, having the best instructor or having the right instructor for you is very important. There are different types of instructors out there. Not everyone is going to be the best for you. There are some instructors that are like really naggy and stuff and those people are... The instructor I had, she was really patient with me and she was also a Christian, so like she even prayed for me during my test, which was really helpful because I was stressing out. I was literally stressing out. I would pray about my driving lesson before doing it. I promise you it honestly helps. There was one time I was on a T-junction. So a T-junction is like there's a road and then there's cars going up and down it. There's a side road which you're coming across and then you have to join this road and then that's how it's like a T-junction. There was a very heavy flow of traffic. When I told you there were cars speeding this way, that way, yeah. And then I was coming and I had to not even just go to the left, which would have been easier because I could just go around the curve. I had to cut through the traffic going this way and go to the right. I had to go from there to there, if that makes sense. I still hadn't learned how to use the clutch. I waited for there to be like a gap for me to join the traffic here. So when it was my time to go, all I had to do was hold the steering wheel, release the brake, and then press the accelerator and then turn because I didn't know how to use the clutch. Instead of me releasing the clutch, I still pressed onto it. The car was moving like this and we ended up moving into the lane of the cars going the Me and the instructor were here, yeah. And then there was traffic coming towards us at 50 miles per hour. And I was like, God have mercy, because I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And my instructor was so calm. Well, I thought she'd be scared for her life because we nearly died that day. But eventually she had the clutch and brakes as well, but I had the accelerator. Thank God, like we were able to quickly escape because there was a car coming at us at such a full speed. When I tell you, you pray about your driving lesson, like even if you're not religious and stuff, it's very important because the things that could happen. Boy. Number 2, if you need to wear glasses or if your eyes are just a little bit not working, wear glasses. I'll be driving, squinting at the board like, does that say to London? I'm promise you. It's not as if I need glasses. I think I'm short-sighted, so I can't see things far away. But when you're driving, you'll need to see these small little things on the boards far away as well. Just go to Specsavers or somewhere and buy glasses. It really helps. It improves the whole driving experience. Before you can start your driving lesson, you have to read a number plate. And when my instructor told me to read a number plate, I was literally squinting. I was just this close from not doing it. But tip number 3, read prior to starting your lessons. There's this app that you can get on your phone. I forgot what it's called, but it's called this. It goes through all of the terminologies of a car, like what the clutch is, for example, and stuff. I wish I knew this before I started, because when I started my driving lesson, I knew nothing. I didn't even know what the clutch was for. So me and the instructor ended up spending about 30, 40, probably an hour going through different terminologies. If you can read prior to starting your lessons, then you won't be wasting time on learning things that you could have learned yourself. That means you have more time in actually driving. I did drive in the first session actually, but it was just around the car park, and it was actually so cool but so scary. Number 4, my sessions were every 2 hours. 2 hours is the best duration that you can have for your driving lessons, because I personally just feel like 1 hour isn't enough for you to try to learn something. My instructor would explain something to me which might take 20 minutes, and then to show me how to do it and stuff, and then it will take another 30 minutes, probably 45 minutes for me to actually drive and practice that thing that she's taught me. With 2 hours you have a lot of time to learn, practice and solidify the things that you've been taught. But with 1 hour it can become a rush, in the sense that you've just been taught something and then you just have to quickly learn it. And imagine if you're only doing 1 hour per week. Even with me doing 2 hours on Monday and then 2 hours on Thursdays, there were some things that I was taught on the Monday that I had to remember on the Thursday. So imagine if it was only the 1 hour and it's only for 1 week. So, but obviously, like, if you can only do 1 hour, then that's fine. But if you can do 2 hours at least per session, even if it's just 2 hours per week, that would be really good. Since I'm used to driving for 2 hours, I drove for 1 hour before my test, and then I drove during my test. The test only takes like 40 minutes or so. The whole session was even less than my normal hours. So it wasn't something that I was like, oh my goodness, I've never driven for this long before. So I think I'm in the middle part now. So you've already started your lessons. Tip number 4, 5. This is the most important lesson. If this is the only thing you've taken out of today, I will be glad, because this honestly helped me so much. It improved my driving so much. I became a better driver just being at home, you know what I mean? Tip number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is YouTube videos. Watch YouTube videos. Oh my days. If you go on YouTube and you search driving lessons or driving tests, so you'll be able to see videos of people practicing their driving test with the instructor and then being graded. That was really useful because I could visually see someone drive, and I compared it to the way I had been driving. Also, there are some videos that show you the footwork of the driver, and that was really helpful for me, because I would do my lessons in the evenings after work, so then it was really dark. My instructor couldn't see what I was doing with my feet. I didn't know what I was doing with my feet, so nobody knew what was going on. So obviously, which explains the reasons why we nearly got into car crashes multiple times. And it wasn't until the daytime that my instructor realized I was doing something wrong with my footwork. But then even then, it was like 20 hours in. But then me watching the YouTube videos and then seeing that, oh, this is how you do it, was really helpful. So basically in the videos, yeah, you can see the candidates literally looking at their mirrors, and that's something I never did. Like, I never looked at my mirrors until like the week before the exam. Don't be like me. But just seeing the students looking at the mirrors, I mentally noted it in my head, and I would practice doing what they're doing. They'll look up to their mirror. I would also look up as well, just so I can practice the motion, because that's something I never did. I never looked at the center mirror until like 20 minutes into my drive, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't check the mirrors, even my side mirrors. So them doing it, I would do it with them. So I was able to practice even while at home. Also with the clutch, like let's say they're about to turn, I would copy their movements. So first look at the mirror, press the clutch, the brakes, accelerator, whatever. The more you watch it, the more you can see the mistakes of some people's drivings, and then you're able to catch the mistakes quickly. You end up becoming more attentive to the mistakes, and then it stops you from making it yourself. And also you end up picking up the good habits, the mirror check, the clutch control. Yeah, clutch control. clutch control, yeah. Leading to my exam, I would watch the people that failed miserably, the people that passed perfectly. I watched like so many different types so I can see all of the bad habits that I probably am even doing myself, and then learn to cut it out. Oh yeah, I did my driving lesson and test in Derby, so I searched driving test Derby or whatever, so I was able to see people driving in the same neighborhood and the same places that I am. Let's say you live in London, like a specific place in London, like Greenwich or Hackney or Lewisham, or let's say you live in Birmingham. You just type in on YouTube driving test Birmingham. It helps you see how people drive on the same roads that you drive in. Apparently there's about, I don't know exactly, but there's about 10 or 16 routes. At least in my area there were about 10 or 16 routes that they could give me during my test. I was able to remember the routes, where they went, the speed limits of that area. Like me realizing that, okay, after this motorway there's going to be a countryside or whatever, I was able to know how I was to gauge myself. Oh my goodness, it actually worked out perfectly because I did watch a video. This guy, he went into the motorway, then out of the motorway to this like residential side, and then that was the same route that my examiner took me through. So even though in my test I've never driven that way before, I've watched someone else drive that way before. I kind of knew what to expect. So that's really good. Like YouTube teaches people a lot. That's why you guys are watching my video. I think this is number 6. I can't remember. Reading over the speed limits, because if you're a fast-paced person like me, I can drive at 70 miles per hour on a 30 miles per hour road. That is literally my driving. So if you're like me, you need to know what speed limit you should be considering, because you don't want to be getting a ticket or losing your ability to drive. Just saying mercy. Or even if you're a slow driver, because I think there's like in the test you can get a point for, no, that's hesitation. I don't think you can get a point for driving too slowly, but if it's causing other drivers around you to be irritated and overtake, then you could kind of get a point for that in that sense. Know your limits. If it's a 30 mile per hour road, don't go above it. I'm talking to myself because yeah. Make notes of all of the things you're struggling with. With me, I was struggling with uphill. Moving off on an uphill was really hard for me, so it was something that I really struggled with. I told my instructor, she knew about it, so before the exam, that was something that we practiced, and I don't think it actually even came up in my test. No. But it was something that we practiced because it was something I was struggling with. So like if you're struggling with roundabouts, note it down, let your instructor know so that you can practice it, especially before the test. Have that hour to just practice it. Yes, I think this is number 7 or number 8 or number 9 or number 10. This is closer to your exam. Just tip number whatever, have a lesson hour just before your test so that you're at ease. I had my exam at 3 o'clock or something, but then I had a lesson at 2 o'clock, so I was able to drive and then relax, so I wasn't just stressed out like rushing into the car and then starting to drive. The next thing I'm going to say is like a reassurance kind of thing. The hours I did with Red for my driving lessons were the only time I was in a car. I was told that
you're meant to have your normal driving hours, and then you're meant to have like a family car that you should be practicing in.
I didn't have a car to be practicing in. I didn't have someone else's car to practice with. I didn't have another teacher to teach me. It was just only those 4 hours for the whole of January and the whole of February. That's the only thing I had. 4, 8, 12, 16. 16 hours in January, 4, 8, 12, 16. 16 hours in February. That's 32 hours in total. The extra day and hour that I had before my test. So 32 plus 2 plus 1 is 35. So I think in total, I had about 33, 4, 5 hours solely without any other external help. So it's just a reassurance that your driving lessons can be enough, basically. I think this is the last one. Are you listening? Are you guys still there? You do? If you're not ready for it, or if there are things that you need to still go over, or you're still making mistakes on, or you need help in, don't rush to the test. Don't be like, oh, I'm just going to do the test. Because that's what I was going to do. I was going to do my exam like the week before, 2 weeks before, and then that would have been really short. That would have been like only 6 weeks of practice, which is possible with 4 hours per week, but it was still a bit iffy. But there were some things that I still needed to learn. Not learn, but just still needed to practice. And then I wanted to book my test, and then my instructor was like, no, you're not ready. And then there was kind of like a tension between us, because I was like, I just want to do my test. Like, I was just so tired. I was just like, I can't be bothered. I just want to do it. And then she was like, if you fail, you're going to feel worse. than what you feel now. So I was like, true. I did postpone it for like a week or so, which was only 4 extra hours. I was able to practice the things that I would have definitely failed in if I didn't practice beforehand, you know. And the only reason I wanted to do my test early was because I wanted to say that, oh, I did my test in under 28 hours or something. You know, when people can just say, oh, I only did 28 hours and stuff. It was just a pride thing in it. So letting that go and be like, everyone's different. Just because someone else can do their test with 28 hours doesn't mean that you have to do the same. Like if you have to take longer, 40 hours, that's fine. Don't feel pressured into trying to do your test after certain hours, which I try to do, because it won't work. Like if you're not ready, you're not ready. It's fine to just have 1 or 2 extra hours. Oh yes, during the test, don't overthink things. Don't stress out, because obviously like during the exam, you're likely to start freaking out. You're likely to overthink the mistakes that you've done. Let's say you probably forgot to look at the mirror. That could be on your mind, and then the examiner might not even have noticed it, but because that is on your mind and the only thing you're thinking about,
oh my days, I forgot to look at the mirror.
I'm gonna fail. Like, oh my days, what do I do?
because that's going to be on your mind, your attention is going to be completely diverted to the point where you end up making more mistakes. So even if you think you've made a mistake, even if you have made a mistake, just continue. Don't let it get to your head. If you start thinking about it, you're going to be making more silly mistakes that you would never probably ever make if it wasn't on your mind. So like with me, oh my goodness, you should have seen me during my test. I was huffing and puffing. Like you would have thought I was one big bad wolf.
And I was like, oh my days, I didn't do this properly. Oh my days, I didn't do this.
But it's them ones where you're like, okay, I watched the video prior saying don't think about what you've done, just move on. The examiner will probably not have noticed. Like there were some mistakes that I defo was like, okay, that's gonna be down, and then the examiner didn't even write it down. You get what I mean? So even if you forgot something, as long as you're able to correct it, like during my test, if you watch the video, you'll see it. Yeah, the examiner kept saying,
take the first exit on the roundabout. It literally just turn left.
I was on the right hand side, and I was like, whoa, I'm on the wrong lane. But I was able to transfer over. That wasn't even a minor on my test, you know. So when it comes to listening and not understanding, then that's fine, I believe. It's just about how you respond, how you corrected yourself. That's what's more important. So don't stress out on the mistake that you've made. I believe those are the 10, 11, 12. I can't remember tips that I have for you. But yeah, so those were the tips that I wish I knew before I did my test. You're going to pass your exam. If your test is coming up soon, let me know, because I could have more tips for you if I remember. You're going to pass. Yeah, and remember to sleep. I didn't sleep enough, but it's just because I was so excited and I was so nervous and I was like, oh my days, I don't know what to do. I believe that's it. You're gonna pass your exam. You're gonna pass your exam. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You're gonna do it. Believe in yourself. Have confidence. Like, I'm going to do it. You know, if you're doing your test now because the lockdown is over, I'll pray for you. I wish you the best. Just don't overthink things. Remember to go over the notes that you've made or the app. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section when your test is, what you've learned that you didn't know before. Take it easy. Don't be hard on yourself.
I was really stressing out because every single thing I did was wrong in my head. I was like, oh, Mercy, you should have done that. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do that. Like, that was literally what was going in my head as I was driving. Just like, drink water, keep it calm. It's okay. Be mindful of what you're doing so that you're not distracted on your thoughts. That's like a really big tip during the test. But you're gonna do it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna pass your exam. You're gonna pass your exam, man. You're gonna pass your exam. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? You're gonna pass your exam. Thank you. Okay? Don't let yourself tell you're not gonna pass it, because you're gonna pass it.
I hope I've made myself clear. Okay? Make sure you watch the other video, because that's really hilarious. I go through how my test was. Yes, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.